What's to do, YouTube? It's Holy One, and these are going to be the top 10 games that flopped on consoles but succeeded on PC. So we're going to start this list off at number 10, and we're going from lowest to highest for games. The lowest is the worst sales, going to the highest with the better sales on the consoles, but still flopped overall. So to start off at number 10, we have Alan Wake. Now, Alan Wake released on the Xbox 360, and the sales figures, it sold pretty poorly on the 360, selling less than 1 million, and it took a long time. It was well on PC, well before it reached its million on 360. But as you can see on this article, Alan Wake made its money back, its development costs back. Once it came to PC, within 48 hours, Alan Wake made its development costs in 2 days. And it took them months to recuperate that on the 360. So you can see why they were so quick to bring it over to the PC and remedy the situation. Alright guys, so that's the first one. Moving on to number 9, we have Quantum Break, which sold 623,000 on PC. On Steam alone, not Xbox or Windows Live. Now, Quantum Break launched on PC and Xbox One with many technical issues on Windows Live. And unfortunately, when the game's first launch week, it only sold less than 200,000 copies. That is abysmal. So, in less than a year, Remedy brought Quantum Break to Steam, and the Quantum Break sold a lot better. Maybe not as good as 1 million as Alan Wake did, but it still sold much better than on the Xbox One. So Remedy was close to closing their studio because of their horrible deal with Microsoft. You can go read articles about them saying this and all that. That they had to go multi-plat because the sales for Quantum Break were so bad. So luckily Remedy didn't close down, because bringing their game to PC allowed them to recuperate some of their losses and recover. Alright, moving on up to number 8, we have Starcraft on the Nintendo 64. Yes, we're going back a little bit, but I'm sure most of you know what Starcraft is. It's one of the biggest turn-based games on PC. It was actually released for the N64, which I was surprised by. It runs pretty good on the N64, however, it sold pretty bad on the N64. That's probably why we're not seeing any more StarCraft games coming out on consoles anymore. Like StarCraft 2 sold millions on PC, so we'll probably never see a StarCraft game on the consoles again, which is unfortunate, but sales do matter, and when games sell, more games will come over. So that was unfortunate on the N64, but still pretty interesting. Moving on to number 7, we have The Last Remnant. Now, The Last Remnant I played on the 360 and the PC. It's basically a game made by Square Enix, and it's basically a turn-based game, but it's more of a strategy turn-based game. Now, this game sold quite bad on the 360, not horribly, but it sold around 333,000 copies within its first year on the Xbox 360, whereas on PC you can see the sales are over 900,000, close to 1 million, so the game sold much better on the PC, so that's why we got free updates with it, and that's why Square Enix says PC is one of their viable platforms to release their games on. That's why they take delicate time releasing their games on PC, just like Final Fantasy 15, which is a fantastic optimized game for the PC. Moving on to number 6, we have the Orange Box. Now, the Orange Box sold okay on the 360. It sold, after 2 years, it sold 1 million. The reason I'm putting this on the list is because the PS3 version sold really bad. Like, it sold pretty poorly. If you look at the sales for the PS3, I think it's less than 500,000 even to this day. And if you look at the Orange Box bundle you can buy on Steam, it's well over, like, I think 2 or 3 million. So these sales figures like Valve released this Orange Box hoping to, give the console crowd a really opportunity to play Half-Life on their systems, but the PS3 owners didn't support the game. The Xbox One overs kind of did, which, you know, because it sold 1 million though, but I'm like, look at the retrospect. 3 million versus what? 1.3 million compared to all the consoles combined. So one platform versus two. Not too happy with those sales. So if Half-Life 3 comes out, if it comes to consoles, which I hope it does, I want all games on all systems, so that way each competition brings its own uniqueness. So that's the orange box for you. And number 5, we have Mark of the Ninja. Now, Mark of the Ninja is a fantastic stealth indie game, which released back on the Xbox 360 as a exclusive, and it basically was one of their arcade titles. It sold okay on the 360. I think it was close to 1 million. But if you look at the PC sales overall through both systems' lifetimes, the PC version sold nearly is close to like 1.8 million. So it's pretty much topped the 360. And the developer was very pleased at the sales they made on both systems. So most developers say that for all their games. So I'm glad this game was able to sell 3 million on both platforms. That's hoping that the developer can make more games. I'm sure they have. I just haven't checked into that. So that's number 5 on my list, guys. We're going up from the worst selling to the least selling. So moving on to number 4. We have Rise of the Tomb Raider, which has sold pretty much 2 million on PC at this point. So Rise of the Tomb Raider was a timed exclusive for the Xbox One. And the reason it's on this list is because it sold really bad when it first launched. And now the console fanboy argument is, John, what are you talking about? When it launched, it sold over 1 million copies. And I'm like, that's between the 360 and the Xbox One. The 360 version sold 300,000, and the Xbox One version sold 700,000. And most of those Xbox One sales for the game were bundled games. Like, you can go watch Black Bond's videos exposing these fanboys and all this sort of thing on this game. It flopped. And in a month and a half, their exclusivity was over, and it came over to PC. And it pretty much doubled the Xbox One sales for the game after, like a couple months being on PC. And then eventually came to PlayStation 4 after the exclusivity was over. So that's kind of sad for Rise of the Tomb Raider. And Rise of the Tomb Raider is a fantastic game. I was hoping the sales would have been better for it, but overall, the game succeeded thanks to being brought over to PC and PS4, and now we're going to get a sequel this year called Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which I'm looking forward to. Alright, guys, moving up to number 3. Number 4, we have Cuphead. Now, I'm sure you're scratching your head like, what is this guy talking about? Now, now remember, the game wasn't a flop on the system. I'm just saying it was a flop on sales compared to PC. So, when it comes to sales, Cuphead has pretty much close to doubled the Xbox One sales on PC alone compared to the Xbox One, and that's why it's on this list. Now, Studio MR has made their money back easily on both systems, but bringing it on PC has pretty much made sure they have pretty much gotten to close to 2 million sales. So if they only brought it to Xbox One, they'd probably be barely hitting 1 million at this point. So you can see how the PC is a viable option for these developers. All right, moving up the list, we have The Witcher 3. Now, this one you're probably even scratching your head again, like, Witcher 3, is this guy high or something? No, we're looking at overall sales. So, The Witcher 3 released, 15% of the sales were on Xbox One, 48% of the sales were PS4, and 35% were on the PC. So, you could say, oh, well, then it's a PC flop. Well, within the next couple years, The Witcher 3 would eventually be the highest sold on the PC at 51%, whereas the consoles, gamers, they go on to the next game, to the next game, to the next game, whereas PC, when you release a game, this will show that the game will continue to sell, and eventually maybe even surpass the console sales for the game, which it did. So, if you combine two system sales, the PC has already surpassed them for The Witcher 3, which is incredible. I'm not saying the game was a flop on those consoles, but if you're looking at sales-wise, the PC overall outsold them. Alright, and the final game on this list, guys, is Ni no Kuni 2, which was outsold by Sea of Thieves on the PlayStation 4. So, yeah. Sea of Thieves, sales-wise, is kind of mixed at the moment. I've heard it's at 500,000 with like 1 million users across both, like, I don't know, Windows Live and all that sort of thing. So it's probably around 500,000 sales or so. But Ni no Kuni 2 on on the PlayStation 4 has not been selling well at all. Whereas the first day sales for the PC version is like, I think it's close to like 50,000 or more. Like the Steam charts can't even tell what it's at right now, but most people are estimating it's around 50,000. And if you look at the current players who were playing it, there was about 8,000 current players. And if you look at another game, SAO, Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, that game sold like 100, I think that game sold 300,000. And when it launched, it had a current player peak base of like only 6,000. So if I'm looking at it right, Ni no Kuni 2 might be on a roll to reach 100,000 or even more than that on PC alone. So I hope this game doesn't flop on PS4, but the sales for PS4 are looking kind of low, and I'm hoping they support the game like us PC gamers are right now. So, and because this game is phenomenal. So that's my top 10, guys. Let me know what you think below in the comments below. This is your boy Holy One, out!